Hello, smart people. Today I want to talk about the books that I've read in October, just as I promised. I'll begin with my little success with the book my first book I read in German. Well, to be completely honest, I've read before one book specifically designed for my level of German, and that was a collection of little short cute stories that you can read and improve your vocabulary. However, this time it was like a real book designed for Germans. And so this whole book, just as I already mentioned you in my book haul, it's Ferdinand von Schirach and his play that is called God, or well, in English it's God. And it's not the long play, not the longest, it's like 120 pages, and I'm sure that a native speaker in German would read it like in a day or less. I spent a week with this book, but I enjoyed it greatly. The most complicated part for me was after the play itself. There was also like 3 essays on the same subject, and that was really hard for me to read. They're very academic and a lot of legislative vocabulary that, well, I know on the surface but never in use, so that was a challenge for me, but it's okay. The play itself is really good. I was surprised that I understood it. It was as easy to follow for for me, because all the roles are always noted who says what, and that was quite easy. And also the language itself, it was not this fancy, very literary, beautiful German. It's not Goethe. It was quite easy and real, as in life. And the idea of this book is that it takes place in the ethic committee, and they follow the case of this gentleman who wants to have an assisted death or an assisted suicide. I don't know how it's actually called in English. Now I know it in German. His name is Richard Gärtner, and he's the main character. He wants to finish his life because there's no joy anymore. His life has died because of cancer, and he can't find his place. And he had already like a fulfilling life. He's got kids and job, and now he's just doing nothing and spending his time in grief. And so he asked his doctor to get him like a special poison, or I don't know, pills to finish his life. And that's why we find him appealing to the court or ethic committee, and with the question if it's allowed actually to have an assisted death. And so the case itself, it's specifically designed for the play, but of course it is based on real cases, because just as I already told, Ferdinand von Schirach is a former judge, and I'm sure that he uses his experience in his plays and novels. And it's a fantastic case actually, because it appeals to the problems of who has the right of our life. And I think this is the reason why actually the title of this book is God, because for especially religious people, this is a very important argument, because your life does not belong to you. It was gifted to you by the God, hence you can't just get rid of it and die whenever you want. So I find the discussion around religious reasons and theology is also very interesting, but there are some other arguments, pros and cons, and that is actually, I really enjoy that. Unfortunately, I think I was missing a bit of the quality of life. They did not actually discuss what is a good life, what is a bad life, and how it should affect our decisions in, for example, suicide, or in decision to, for example, give life. And this is I think it is rather interesting. However, probably the play would be like, too long for as a as a theater piece. That's why I think he decided, to omit a lot of topics that could actually be incorporated in this book. So still, I would recommend it if you read it in German to go for it. I don't know if it's translated actually in other languages, but I'm sure you can look and find the answer. The next book that I want to talk about is very important for me as a as a half Korean girl. It's Kim Jae-young, born 1982, and it's very trendy nowadays. Everybody reads it. I think every other blogger, YouTuber, booktuber is reading it right now, which is great because well, it's quite universal. It's not actually about like specifically about Korean women. I mean, of course, the Korean social structure is a bit, inspires this whole discussion, but it's not necessarily the unique experience. It's, all women experience, and I appreciate that. I also, want to learn more about Korean authors and Korean literature. I feel this urge, to connect me and my identity with my origin. So it's a great book. I don't want to say more. It's a very general, let's say, feministic piece of writing. It's like taking all the feminist discussion and put it in one fiction book, and I found it really great. I mean, it's also easy to read. It's not long. I finished like in a day. So another story for me was Russian classics. I'm trying to read more Russian classics that, well, I missed in school. And this summer I've read a lot of Tolstoy. It was like summer of Tolstoy. I read Anna Karenina, War and Peace, some of his essays on politics, on art and religion, and this autumn I decided that I want to read more Dostoevsky. And I got this beautiful edition. It's in Russian, obviously, and it was actually a present from my boyfriend from my mom, and but he didn't read it yet. However, I used this chance and I read it in October. So this little book consists of two novels, two stories. One is The Gambler and another one is Notes from the Underground. Oh yeah, that's quite interesting actually, because I also listened to the audiobook written, I mean, the book itself was written by his wife, Anna Dostoevskaya, and it's called something like My Husband is Fyodor Dostoevsky, and it's her autobiography and her memories about living with Fyodor Dostoevsky and their, let's say, love story and family story. She was a stenograpist, so she was like writing the dictated text in the special symbols. She was taught to do that, and she found a job at well, Dostoevsky was looking for a stenographer to try this method to record his books. So they met and she helped him. Her first job was basically to help him with The Gambler, and it's not the brightest story. It's funny. It's I think quite personal also, because Dostoevsky, as we know, had quite problematic story with the gambling. That was also like a disaster for his family. But anyways, at the end of the day, everything went well in their lives, and he became a successful author. But The Gambler was kind of like a story important in his life, because this is the story when he met his wife. But the story itself, I can't say that I enjoy that. Actually, at some point I dropped it and then I went back to read it. It was fine. It was fine. It's just, you know, it's okay. But I just wanted to begin with something very easy, such as The Gambler. And I hope it's just the beginning of my adventure with Dostoevsky, and I will learn more and more in coming months. About the notes from the underground, I've read that it's actually quite similar to the Crime and Punishment, because it's either like pre-story of this character, because, you know, the psychological description of these two characters is very similar, and I thought that they, you know, quite connected, but I think don't take my word on that, because I'm sure this information had to be proved, but there is, for me, certain similarities. I also want to talk about this beautiful edition, because, you know, this is a month of Halloween, although I don't celebrate it like usually, but my boyfriend gave me this book as a gift, and it's Harry Potter, of course, and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. I never read the book in English. I've read it in Russian when it was first translated and published in Russia, so it was like, I don't know, 10-15 years ago, a lot of time ago, and I always wanted to read it in English, and so I've seen a couple of booktubers showed this new edition with beautiful illustrations, and I decided, well, I guess I want to try it, and it's I think it's such fun read for kids specifically. So my favorite part of this book is the letter that Harry receives from the Hogwarts, and it's just so intricate, such an intricate design. It's so nice and sweet, and I enjoy to read it greatly. And I was surprised actually to learn that it's an easy read for me. I was always afraid that when I read it in English I won't understand the word, but in fact actually caught almost everything, I guess. Yeah, it was great. I liked it. To read it in English was not that hard. I would be happy to collect the whole series. I know they're still working on it, and I'll be waiting for the next book. That's it. I think I want to finish it. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!